So to set up the scene, I just have a sphere in the middle. Then I've got a camera here, and I've just pointed it straight at the sphere. Then for the lighting, I'll go ahead and just shading workspace. I have my node editor and my viewport. Then if I go here, I'm using the cycles renderer, and I just unchecked scene world and use the built-in forest HDRI. So then to get started, we'll press new here. We'll zoom out and find our nodes. Awesome. I'm going to name this potato skin, like so. Nice. Then we can go to edit preferences and enable the node wrangler add-on if you haven't. So just go to add-ons and then search up node wrangler and hit the checkbox, which will give you some shortcuts. Then we're going to press Shift A and search for noise texture. This is going to be the start of our color is what we're going to be doing here. So we'll select this and press Control T. And then if we Control Shift and left click this guy, we can preview him. So we're going to want to use object coordinates for this one. So we'll just move our object into the mapping. So then on this, the detail for this guy, we're going to move it up to a 10 and the roughness to a 0.75. Then we're going to add some contrast here. So I'm going to hit Shift A, search for a map range node like this. Then I'm going to take this from minimum value and I'm going to bring it into a 0.3 and then the from maximum to a 0.7 just to give us some more contrast between the two. Then we're going to add our colors in. So we'll hit Shift A, search for a mix RGB here, place that right here, and we're going to place the result of the map range into the factor, so it's going to mix the colors accordingly. Then this color 1, I'll give you a hex value for that and read it off a couple times. Is going to be a D2A C6A. Again, that is a D2A C6A, like so. Then the second color on the bottom is going to be a 5B4634. Again, that is a 5B4634. Just like that. And now we have our colors. And obviously, we're going to want to have some further adjustments to this if we need to. So we're going to hit Shift A, and we're going to search for a hue saturation node right here. Place it in between. And then this is going to be able to adjust our value. So if we want it to be a darker potato, we can do it manually like this. Or we can make it brighter, etc. I'm going to leave this on a value on the 0.7. You can leave it on a 1 if you like, depending on how golden you want your potato to be. I want mine to be a little browner, so I moved it to 0.7. So then we're going to be mixing this in with another color, and that is going to be the little bumps you see on the potato, like the little imperfections on the outside. So I'm just going to take this color and a color 1, and then for the factor and the color on this one, we're going to be using some Musgrave textures for the factor, and then this color 2, I'll give you another hex value right now. So this hex value is going to be a 403225. Again, that is a 403225, just like that. And currently, if we preview it, it's sort of mixing in a really bad way because we haven't done the factor. So now we're going to hit Shift A, search for a Musgrave texture, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to take the Musgrave texture and move it over here, and take this vector into our Musgrave texture. Then we can Control Shift and left click to preview this guy. I'm going to switch the mode here to multifractal. I'm going to change the detail to a 10 and the dimension to a 0.1. And it's going to give us something real fuzzy like this. But then we want to adjust it a little bit more. So I'm going to search for an invert node as well. And then hit Shift A and search for a map range node like this. So now we have our setup that we want here. Then this from minimum value on the map range, I'm going to move that all the way up to a 0.8. All the way up there, just so that we don't have the little imperfections affecting everywhere. And then this from maximum, I'm going to move down to a 0.81. Just like that, so it's super contrasty. Then I'm just going to duplicate all of these. So I'm going to select the Musgrave, invert, and map range, then press Control Shift D like this. And that is going to just duplicate everything. And then on the second Musgrave texture, I'm just going to up the scale to a 7. And that'll be the only difference there. Then I will mix them together by hitting Shift A, search for a Mix RGB node, switch the blending mode to add and the factor to 1. Then I'll take the result of each map range into color 1 and color 2. And then if we preview this guy, we can see that it just added the imperfections on top of each other. Nice. So then we're going to use this as the factor for our color mixer. So we're going to take this color into the factor here. Then we preview now. We can see that we have the little dark brown spots all up in there, and it's looking really good. So now the color is done, so we can plug that into there. And then for the roughness, I'm just going to drop it down to a 0.25 to make it a little bit shinier. And if we preview, we can see that it's like looking like this at the moment. We don't have any bump yet though. Obviously, if you think it's a little bit too reflective, you can up the roughness to like a 0.4 or something like that. I'm going to leave it at a 0.25 or maybe a 0.3 for now. Then we're going to factor things into the bump. So I want to factor this guy into the bump so that the imperfections stick out just slightly. So I'm going to hit Shift A, search for a bump node here, and then take this color into our height, and then take this normal into the normal here. And that's going to give these a little bit more depth. But we still need a little bit more bump because potatoes aren't perfectly flat. So we're going to they have these little like dips in them where maybe something got carved out or something like that. Very subtle, but they exist. So to do that, we're going to hit Shift A and search for a noise texture like this. Then we're going to take this vector and drop it down here. If we hold Shift and right click over these 3 lines right here, it'll give us this extra point, and we can just do that here to keep everything nice and clear. So then I'll Control Shift and left click this noise texture to preview him. I'm going to move the detail up to a 5. And I'm going to put the roughness all the way down to a 0. Then I'm going to hit Shift A, search for a map range node again. As always, I can't type. There we go. Now we can type. Then I'm going to take this from maximum value and move it all the way down to a 0.2. Then I'm going to take this to minimum value right here and move it up to a 0.95, just so that the contrast isn't too much. Currently, we can't really see, oops, I'm not focused on my sphere. Currently, we can't see what's going on really, but the bump will be able to tell. So we're going to hit Shift A and search for a bump node, and then we'll preview that just so you can tell what is going on. And again, I cannot type. There we go. Take this result into the height. Then we can Control Shift and left click. We can now see the difference here. We can see these little dips in the potato, sort of to make them more natural and more organic, like that. Like you'd see in some normal potato you pick up at the, local grocery store or whatever. Then we're going to take this bump normal and put it into the other bump normal, just like that. Then we can Control Shift and left click our principled shader, and that is the finished material. I'll go over the extra controls real quick. We have our hue saturation value where you can change the things there, make it more golden, make it more saturated, make it less golden, less saturated, etc. We have our roughness, really easy to play with. And then we have our bumps, which you can play with respectively. And hopefully you can use this in some awesome renders. This is the exact material that you see on the potatoes in the thumbnail. So if you're wondering what it looks like on a potato model, that is what it looks like. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in another video sometime. Peace.